I'm Misha from Slovakia, from Radio Expres. It's number one on the market in Slovakia. But that's not important. I have really mixed feelings right now because I wanted to congratulate you on the new album, on the tour. And at the same time, I wanted to, say sorry for a great loss. Talking about the new album, probably shouldn't be saying this, but I have to tell you, when you announced that it's going to be called Memento Mori, a couple of years back, I had a fling on my holiday with an ex-soldier. He was shot. He had like scars after the bullets on his belly, and on his chest there was a huge tattoo, which said "Memento Mori," and it stuck with me. And when you said like "Memento," I was like, "No way, this is not possible."
Well, he obviously experienced something that he wanted to remind himself of that.
Oh yeah.
I think it is a good reminder for everybody. For us to remember that, and it was the perfect sort of title for the work that we were, Martin and I were working on. The title and the songs were, the title came a couple of months ago, but the songs were written some during the pandemic, I guess, and some after.
You wrote some in Montauk.
I wrote, one of the songs. Actually, one song that I wrote with Christian Eigner and Peter Gordino. Yeah, that was in the pandemic. They sent me a couple of pieces of music. At the time, I said, I don't think I have any ideas. They sent me something. And one of the pieces they sent me, I kind of felt inspired to write something. So I have a little setup out there where I could record my voice. And so I sang something and sent it back to them. And that song is one of the songs, very different now, but one of the songs that is on the record. Yeah.
You're coming into Slovakia, to Bratislava, in May. And I remember I was having an interview with Fletch in Milan 6 years ago. And he said that Bratislava has a very special place in your hearts. Do you feel that too? Why is that?
A lot of the places that we went to early in our sort of time together as a band were places in Eastern Europe that were on the Old East. Even here where we are now, East Berlin. When it was East Berlin, we played a show here. I remember in a little theatre. But at that time, not a lot of bands from the West were going to the East. We would go wherever we were given a gig, so it didn't really matter to us. But I think going to a lot of those countries early on enabled us to kind of like build up a following of fans when we were still pretty unknown as a band around the world. So I think that's why when we go to places like Bratislava, or it has a warm spot in our hearts, because these are the places where we became better at what we did and learned what we did.
Well, you're right when you said that you were building up a huge following. You have a huge following in Slovakia, and actually, I remember 80s, 90s back home. There were like two groups of people dominating the music at the time. They were like Depeche Mode fans and then metal fans. We call them Depeshaci and Metalisti. And there was always a tension between them. They hated each other. Really. Did you feel something like that in the music? Did you feel that there is a tension between metal fans and Depeche Mode fans?
I can't say that I've never felt that. No, I don't spend any time thinking about what other bands might think of what we do, or what other bands' fans might think of what we do. It doesn't really come into my mind.
It's funny, I think. I mean, it was just between the fans, probably, yeah. But it's funny.
It's like football game for teams, you know. There's always rivalry.
Exactly.
You know. But.
Where are you know, after Andy Fletcher's passing, have you ever thought about getting back together with Alan Wilder or Vince Clarke?
No.
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 All right, that's a no.
No, I mean, you know, both those guys, I mean, Vince was in the band now relatively for a blink of an eye compared to how long we've been going. And Alan, you know, he left the band, he made a choice to leave the band, you know, within the first 10 years. There's been 30 years since then. So I think it's time for people to let that go, don't you think?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's time.
I know.
It's got to be time.
Yeah, it was a question my colleague wanted to ask.
For nobody else's sake, for Alan's sake, I'm sure he's sick of hearing it as well. I mean, you know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My colleague was really, he wanted to know.
People love to live in the past, don't they?
Yeah, I don't understand why. We should move forward. Is there anything that you still want or you long for that could be bought by money?
Probably not.
No.
I mean,
Lucky
yeah,
you.
I'm very fortunate. I've you know, I don't really want for anything in my life materialistic, you know, and I'm lucky to be in that position. I know I am, but there's plenty of things I want, but I know that money can't buy them.
Beautifully said. New bands, new singers, songwriters, anything that you particularly like? I mean, nowadays?
There's this cool band in New York called Stella Rose and the Dead Language. You should look out for them.
Okay. Yeah. I will. I wanted to ask about the producer, Marta Saloni. Where did you find her?
Actually, the producer's James Ford, who produced the last album as well. But yes, Marta Saloni, she, I mean, she's a producer as well, and but she's mixing the album actually right now in London. But she worked also in the studio with us, and very much part of the making of this record with Martin and myself and James. She has a really great talent and a great way of creating an atmosphere around the music you're making, with whatever instrumentation you're using. She uses a form of tape loops and reverbs, and playing the music back into tape, analog tape, and then playing it back with these massive sort of delays and reverbs on them. Also, when I'm singing, we were doing some of that as well. So it creates an atmosphere that you sing into, that is already there for you, rather than that happening later. So this was going on during the process of recording all the time, and Marta was very much instrumental in doing that. She coincidentally mixed an album of mine and Rich Machin's Soul Savers that came out last year. She mixed that album, but there was just pure coincidence. In fact, when James rang me and said I would like to bring Marta Saloni onto this project, and I was like, oh, she just mixed, you know.
Did he know that?
No, he didn't know that, but you know, once he heard it, of course, it made perfect sense.
Okay, I can't wait to hear that on the album.
Yeah, you know, she's really brought something to it, and the album really has an atmosphere that from the start to the finish, and sequence-wise as well, the way the songs play through the 12 songs that will be on the album. In the vinyl form, it'll be an album that's got a side 1, side 2, and side 3. And because you have to spread 12 songs over that amount of vinyl for it to be the best quality sound. And so we got to hear that before Marta and I left last week. We left Santa Barbara, and Marta made some rough mixes already of the songs, and we sequenced them like we wanted it to play, more or less. And we both sat there, and we felt there was not much to do. So she's spending this next now about another week or so finishing. Hopefully when I get back to New York on Friday, by Saturday I'll have at least maybe a third of a record to listen to, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we are excited
as
well. Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.